All right, so let's get to module 11, right? So our second last module and talking about governance and the compliance. So this part is not, I have to say, not that interesting, right? So a lot of DAO reading you have to know here. So it's not really related to anything you have to actually perform, right? So from the admin side, but for the exam perspective, you have to know something, all right? Okay, so let's go to the, oops, number one. So we'll be talking about subscription and accounts in this lesson, and the following we'll talk about role-based access control and user groups and the Azure policy. So here we'll only focus on this lesson is subscription and accounts. Okay, so we'll talk about all this, management groups, create a management group, Azure subscription, getting a subscription, subscription usage, user types, check your resource limits, resource tax, and billing. Right, the things I hate, have to say. All right, see management groups. So if your organization has several subscriptions, right, even you have one, it's okay. So you may need in a way to effectively manage and access policies and compliance for those subscriptions. So Azure management groups provide a level of scope above subscription. So you organize subscriptions into the containers called management groups and apply your governance conditions to the management groups. So the management groups enables you first to organizational alignment for your Azure subscriptions through custom hierarchies and grouping and the targeting of policies and spend budgets across subscription and inheritance down the hierarchies. Also the compliance and cost reporting by the organization. And all Azure subscriptions within a management group automatically inherit the conditions applied to the management group. So for example, you can apply policies to a management group that limits the regions available for virtual machines creation. So this policy will be applied to all the management group subscriptions and resource under that management group by only allowing VMs to be created in that region. So the management group is a relatively new concept in Azure, actually. So by meaning relatively new, it means like it doesn't exist in probably 3 or 4 years before, or 2 years. So in that sense, and creating a management group is fairly easy, right? So you can do from the Portis search management groups, and you can add a new management group, right? So you can use in the portal PowerShell or for CLI as stated before. So we haven't done the demo for PowerShell or CLI for a long time, but still it's actually quite easy, right? So not worth demoing really. So currently you can't use a resource manager template to create the management groups yet. So we talk about there's a way you can use a template, but for this you don't have a template. So for here the manager group ID is a directory unique identifier that used to submit commands on the management group. So this identifier is not editable after creation. So as it used throughout the Azure system to identify this group. The display name field is a name displayed with the Azure portal. A separate display name is the optional field where creating the management groups and can be changed at any given time, right? So let me actually switch to here if you're interested. So let me see where that is. Yeah, so from here you can create a management group, right? So as you can notice I'm here, I have here, and the ID, actually the ID is not necessarily you have to use the a GUID, or you can generate using PowerShell or find one of these online GUID generator, right? You can generate an ID. But it's not necessarily you have to use a GUID, right? You can use any names. It's fine. Like it doesn't say like it's have to be something like this, right? So let's leave it at that. Okay, so switch back to the PowerPoint. Okay, Azure subscriptions, right? So the Azure subscription is we call the logical unit of Azure service, which is linked to the Azure account, and billing for Azure service is done on the per subscription basis. So if your account is the only account associated with a subscription, then you are responsible for billing. And subscription helps you to organize access to cloud service resources. They also helps you to control how resource usage is reported, billed, and paid for. And each subscription can have a different billing and payment setup. So you can have different subscriptions and different plans for by deployment, project, region office, and so on. Every cloud service belongs to a subscription, and the subscription ID may be required for programmatic operations. So here are some concepts, right? For Azure accounts, the subscription have accounts. An Azure account is simply an identity in Azure Active Directory or directory that is trusted by the Azure AD, such as the work or school organization. So if you don't belong to one of these organizations, you can sign up for the Azure account by using your Microsoft account, which is also trusted by Azure AD as well. So this is talking about the different identities, right? In Azure AD, where you have the Microsoft account, you have work or school account, you have the third, from the other tenant, you have the cloud, you have the synced, and you have the federated, several others. Okay, and another one is the concept is the getting access to the resource. So every subscription is associated with the Azure AD, as we mentioned. So user and services are access resource of that subscription first need to be authenticated with the Azure AD. So typically, to grant a user access to your Azure resource, you would add them to the Azure AD directory associated with your subscription. Then the user will now have access to all the resources in your subscription. So this is the all or nothing operation that might give that user access to more resource than you anticipate. So actually one account, one Azure AD account, not necessarily Azure AD account, an account that's being associated with an Azure AD, you can have access to different Azure tenant actually, not tenant, different directories. So for example, I have you also me using my the .qq.com that account, right? So that is managing my uh, the demo account all the time. But I can also grant for example, my demo account, another demo account, right, associated with Office 365, where they have their own Azure AD, right? But I can also grant access to that one. So that person where I grant access, they have the option to switch tenant if they choose to, right? So from here actually, so I can select. So this one is not associated with anything right now. So, but I can switch directory, right? So if I have another one, I can switch that one, right? Okay, that's basically what I'm talking about. Okay, let me switch back to the PowerPoint. Yeah, so how to get the subscription. So there are several ways to get the subscription, right? We have enterprise agreement, reseller, Microsoft partners, and a personal free account. So any enterprise agreement customer can add Azure to their agreement by making a upfront monetary commitment to Azure. That commitment is consumed throughout the year by using any combination of the wide variety of cloud services. Azure offers from a global data center enterprise agreement, which has the 99.9 and monthly SLA. So for the enterprise agreement, right? So it is widely used for enterprise organizations, right? Not really for personal, like the one I'm demoed. So that's the MSDN actually provided. uh, a monthly credit. So that's a different one actually. So if you have this one, you don't really need a price calculator, which I'm gonna show later. So from this one, you don't really need a price calculator, but for the others, you might need. So partners find a Microsoft partner who can design and implement your Azure cloud solution. These partners have the business and technology expertise to recommend solutions which meet your needs and your business. And the personal free account. So this is a free trial account. You can get started using Azure right away, and you won't be charged until you choose to upgrade. Basically, it's the 12 months, not 12 months, 1 month, $200 free account. And reseller, right? So uh, through the open licensing program, so provide a simple, flexible way to purchase cloud service from your reseller. If you already purchased an Azure in open licensing key, activate a new subscription or add more credits, which is your current options for now. And this is subscription usage. Right, so the free one we talk about, right? The personal one is free for 30 days, not free, right? Free 200 credit for the first 30 days. Free limited access for 12 months. So those limited is for some level of resource you can use. For example, for the virtual machine, you can usually only use the B1V4, something like that. And same for the storage, for SQL Server, etc., etc. Pay as you go. So basically, you have to, uh, use a price calculator or use for virtual machines. It tells you how much it's charged per hour, right? So basically, it's like you use 1 hour or use half an hour. That's how much it charged. And enterprise is it's the one we just introduced, enterprise agreement. And for students, so students is really lucky. You get $100 for 12 months, right? So you must verify you are a student. So I never use that one. I don't know really how that is like. So I'm using the Microsoft Certificate Trainer benefit, which also it's a $100 for 12 months. But they are now having debates on whether to give us for now or not. Because I renewed my MCD membership, but still they're I don't see that benefits of yet. So they are actually in the this debate whether to give us or not. I certainly hope they give us. Otherwise, I cannot show any more demos, right? Okay. And subscription user type. So this I don't just won't read it out. Just something you have to know. So account administrator one per Azure account. Service admin also one per account. But co-administrator can have up to 200. Right. So the co-administrators you can add anyone outside the organization or the same organization to co-add. They have the same permission as the service admin, but they cannot change the associate of the subscription to Azure directories, right? And resource limit. So we gently touched this in before. I forgot which class really, but they pretty much specify how many resource you have in this service, right? Basically, that's what it reads, right? So when you under the usage and quotas, you can see how many resource you have left. So let me switch to the demo real quick. So MSD platforms, you can here is my MSD platform usage and quotas. So under this subscription, actually, you click usage and quotas. So I have a number of things here, right? For this one, so the usage is 100% for the network watcher. So I don't remember what that is for this moment. I forgot what it is. So let me see another one. Storage account, East Asia. This one I have not used yet, right? So you can see this. So from the picture you saw, it's red, right? But now it's actually changed the color. So even 100% is still green. Just to show you it's 100%, right? So if you need, in case you need to increase the default limit, there is a request increase link. You will complete and submit the support request, the ticket. So all resources have a maximum limit listed in the Azure limits. So if you currently limit is already at the maximum number, the limit cannot be increased. But generally, if you, for example, you want to increase the, let's say the total RAMs you are consuming in this subscription, right? You can, or in this region, let's say, so you can request to increase that. And if your request is small, for example, I increase from 32 gigabytes to 36, then I think that approve is really quick. I don't think it's approved really by a human. It's approved by a machine because I have times I request really small changes and they just reply me within 1 minute, literally 1 minute. And if you are using double that, for example, 3264, so it takes them up to 24 hours to give you a first response. And actually a human will reply this email question like why you need this request and blah 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 chat, but then eventually they will approve, right? Not like you are increased from 32 to 500 something, right? So not like that. But anyway, they will approve eventually. And also we're talking about the resource tags, right? We never really touched this before. So you can apply tags to Azure resources to logically organize them by categories. So each tag consists of name and the value. So for example, you can apply the name, environment, and the value of production development to your resource after creating your tags. You associate them with the appropriate resource with tags in place. You can retrieve all the resource in your subscription with that tag name and values. So this means you can retrieve related resource from a different resource group. And perhaps I think one of the best use of tags is to group the billing data. So when you download the usage CSV for services, the tags appear in the tags column. For example, you could group virtual machines by call centers and production environment. I think call center probably the most broadly used. And there are a few things to consider about tagging. So each resource or resource group can have up to maximum 15 tags, names, values, right? There appear names and values. And tags applied to the resource group are not inherited by the resource that in that resource group. So again, let me switch back to here. And yeah, you can see here I tagged, right? So for the labs, these resource groups, I tagged it's IT and lab, right? Just like that. And oops, what's this? So you can run this command that, so oops, something wrong. Let me exist. So you can actually just click here. So try it. So let me actually refresh this page, right? Okay, signing in. I'm using which one? It's okay, default directory. So the return will be something like this, right? So it's very simple, but just for demonstration purpose, let me copy this. Come on, sweetheart, come on, come on. Okay, all right. So let me change the actually the name, right, to lab, and let's run this. You will see that returns name IT value lab, right, which is the one I'm having here for here, right? IT and lab. Okay, that's how that's done. Okay, and back to the PowerPoint and billing, right? The last slide for this lesson. So introduce the price calculator, right? The price calculator provides the estimating of areas of Azure, including computing, networking, storage, database, and web application. So billing alerts, right? Billing alerts help you to monitor and manage billing activity for your Azure accounts. So billing alerts is available from the Azure portal, account portal. You can set up a total of 5 billing alerts per subscription with a different threshold and up to 2 email recipients for each alert. The monthly budgets are evaluated against spending every 4 hours. Budget reset automatically at the end of the period. And the Azure reservation. So this helps you to save money by prepaying for 1 year or 3 years of Azure machine, Azure virtual machine, SQL database, compute capacity, Azure Cosmos database route, or other Azure resource prepaying, allowing you to get a discount on the resource you use. So reservation can significantly reduce your virtual machine, SQL database, compute Azure, Cosmos DB, or other resource cost up to they say up to 72% on pay-as-you-go price. The reservation price are billing a discount and don't affect the runtime state of the resource. Of course, the budget helps you to plan and drive organizational accountability. So with budget, you can account for the Azure service you consume for subscription to during a specific period of time. They help you to inform others about their spending, to proactively manage costs, and to monitor how spending progress over time. So when the budget threshold you create exist, only notifications are triggered. None of your resources are affected, and your consumption is not stopped. You can use budget to compare and track spending as you analyze your cost. So let's go to the. I think we showed this in previous, like 2 months ago, I think, but still. So you have this. Where was that? Let's see. Sorry, it's oops, no, the price calculator. Yeah. So you have this one. You can select feature, right? All of this compute, networking, storage, blah blah blah. You can select all of this, right? So let's say you just use virtual machines, right? That opens your calculator. Can view. So you can select the region, operating system, OS, SQL Server standard or low priority basic instance, right? Because different one has charged differently per hour, right? It's like that, pay as you go, or 1 year reserved, 3 years reserved, right? Okay, how many hours you use that, blah, 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 blah. So let's give an example, right? So the real example, so my friend who I introduced before, their organization, they purchased a really expensive server, right? Almost a quarter, I think 30,000 US dollar, that expensive, right? So let's, I think I briefly remembered the specs. So it should be something like, no, temporary storage. I don't remember the temporary storage, but the RAMs is something close to, yes. Do we have another one? 256. This is too much. So probably I think this one. Yeah, let's just use this one instead, all right? So let's say using pay-as-you-go, right? Let's using the pay-as-you-go first. So the organization only requires when they do trading, so that's only limited hours per day. So let's say it's one virtual machine, and how many months is that? So let's calculate. So let's say just so no need for lunch time. So 3 hours and 3 hours. So that's kind of 7 hours, right? Times 22, right? Working days, 154, right? 154, 154. So Managed OS disk, let's using the expensive one, right? Premium. So let's give it, I don't know, let's say 5,000 IOPS. That's a lot already. All right, so disks, let's say using 4. Okay, so support, we don't care. So that's subtotal. That's 1,000, so 1,100 something per month. So if they pay 30,000 for that machine, you subtract 30,000 to this, that's actually close to 25, I would say 25 or 27 months. So essentially 2 years, right? 2 years. But you have to take into account like if they're using 2 years, so let's say I use the 3 years reserved. Ooh, 3 years reserved actually per expensive per month now. Okay, so but either way, so I don't know if I have the exact same specs, but you can see here. So he actually use this money for more than 2 years. And that machine, I don't know, for if they're broken, you have to manage that or replace something. So and you have the decommission, you have to manage the physical thing, right? But for here, it's very easy to use. I would say fairly cheap in a way, because after 1 year, that machine might be, you might have to retire that. It's being, consumed all the time. They are deploying machine. They are actually using that for machine learning to calculate the next 3 seconds of trading, something like that. But yeah. So and the one last thing, right, it's not in the slide. I want to introduce is the Azure EA portal, right? Enterprise Agreement Portal. So you only if you have the enterprise agreement that's enterprise that's you can apply. I don't have that, unfortunately. So if I click login, it says this page. So this helps you to analyze your organize, sorry, not analyze, and organize your subscription or cost, right? Something you have to know here. Again, this is not in the it will be not in the exam, but for the production environment, in reality, you might have to use this for your organization, right?